Ike Bazooka Quartey versus Keith One Time Thurman, going out to Peter Garcia. I thank you for your request. Let's get into it. Both of these guys are good fighters. Both of these guys are solid, and they have great attributes. Of course, this fight would take place at welterweight, which is 147. Keith Thurman is a good fighter. I wouldn't consider Keith Thurman the most flashy fighter, the most exciting fighter, but he's an effective fighter. He does everything well. He doesn't do everything great, in my opinion, but he's a solid fighter, and he's fought most of the top fighters of his day, specifically Showtime Shawn Porter, Danny Swift Garcia, and Manny the Pac-Man Pacquiao. So he's a proven fighter. Of course, the inactivity will be a mark on his career, but if he at least fights one more time this year, giving us 2 this year, I think he can redeem himself. And if he remains active for the remainder of his career, at least fighting 2 times a year. I'm not even saying fight at the same frequency as guys like Tito Trinidad or Oscar De La Hoya was fighting, but 2 a year is not too much to ask for, in my humble opinion. Now let's talk about Ike Bazooka Quartey. More accomplished, the better legacy, the better resume. But we're still finding out about Keith Thurman. His career is not over yet. But one of Ike's best attributes is his authoritative jab. I mean, that jab was thudding, straight, authoritative, and he has one of the best jabs in the history of boxing. I feel that Ike is more talented than Thurman. He has quicker hands, better footwork. He's more elusive, and just a better overall fighter. Would Keith have any advantages in this fight? I'd imagine he would. I mean, Keith does have power. Does he have more power than Ike Quartey at 147? Maybe. I don't know. But Keith Thurman can crack. He has stunning power. Keith Thurman has a good chin, but he does not like it to the body. He doesn't like body punches. He doesn't take them well. And you can be sure that Ike Quartey is going to go downstairs. He's going to test that body. So Keith may be in trouble there. I don't know. But as far as who would win this fight, honestly, I see Ike Quartey pulling away because of the things I've already mentioned, the footwork, the hand speed. He's just more explosive than Keith Thurman. Like I said, Keith Thurman throws decent punches, and Keith Thurman has a lot of power for a welterweight. But it seems like Ike is more loose with his punches and can throw his punches with more finesse, and he can throw them more freely. There's a word I'm looking for, I just can't get, so we're just gonna go with freely. It seems like his punches are looser. He's more relaxed in there. So with that being said, I'm going to have to lean towards Ike Quartey in this one because, just for the simple fact he's the better fighter. That's not to take anything away from Keith Thurman, but I just feel that Ike has more tools in the tool belt, more weapons in the arsenal, and he just has more things working for him to get the job done. If he hits Keith Thurman with a good body shot, there's a chance of stopping him and knocking him out. But I'm going to give Keith Thurman the benefit of the doubt in this fight. I'm gonna take Ike Quartey by a landslide decision in this fight. And those are my thoughts. Let me know what you think, and I will see you next time. Over the past 5 years or so, in the boxing world, there's been this rhetoric going around that frankly I don't like. I'm going to tell you why I don't like it, and it really needs to stop because it makes absolutely no sense. People have an issue with fans having an opinion or saying anything about the sport and about a fighter unless they have fought in the ring themselves. I'm sure you've heard it. It's on practically every boxing forum. Anytime a fan dares to open their mouth and say anything, whether it's positive, whether it's negative, for the simple reason we've never stepped in the ring, we should just not say anything. We should keep our mouths shut, keep buying pay-per-views, keep up the viewership, keep supporting the sport. You can take my money, but you can't take my opinion. Now, one thing I'll give you, there's nothing that can substitute for actually being in there. I'll give you that. To the best of our ability, we should respect every fighter. But just because I respect you doesn't mean that I like everything you do or that I agree with everything you say. I may give some criticism, but that doesn't mean that I don't like you. And let me tell you this, if the fans are talking, that means the fans are watching. So if you don't want the fans to say anything, well, let me ask you this. If the fans are so irrelevant, if the fans don't matter, then who are you fighting for? Are you fighting for yourselves? Is your boxing buddies going to be the only ones cheering you on, buying your fights, helping you with viewership? Now, granted, I've never heard a fighter at the top level or any notable fighter spew this garbage. It's only these social media fighters is what I call them. They want to come across as better than everybody else. They call themselves putting the fans in their place or shutting the fans up because they don't know how to debate. They resort to, because you haven't fought, you shouldn't say anything. Nonsense. Cut that stuff out. It's just like saying that, okay, let's say I go to a restaurant. I eat a meal. I don't like my meal. I paid for the meal. What if the chef comes out of the kitchen and says, well, you're not a chef, so you can't comment on your food. And when you're in the public eye, you open yourself up to scrutiny. You open yourself up to the opinions of other people. So stop being so sensitive. Take our money and let us have our opinions. But I just think, with all due respect, that's the dumbest thing anyone can ever say. It is so stupid to discourage the fans from having opinions. For one, who do you think you are? I mean, how do you think you get paid? You get paid because the fans are buying your fights. You get paid off of sponsorships as a result of our viewership. But because I've never laced them up, because I've never stepped in the ring, well, I'm going to say something that some of you won't like. You don't have to actually fight to know about boxing. I've been following the sport since 1989, since the age of 11. And I've learned a lot. Just by watching the greats. Just by paying close attention to the fights. Listening to trainers talk and break things down. So do you think for 1 second, think about this. Do you think for 1 second that I can watch boxing for 30 plus years and not know anything about the sport? Now, contrary to what you people might believe, I respect you. We respect you. Any serious fan of the sport respects you. But if you want to get on your high horse, if you don't want to hear from us, I'll keep my opinions to myself, but I also keep my money to myself. Why would you offend the very fans who are supporting you? Why would you offend the very fans who's putting money in your pockets? That don't even make any sense. And it's very offensive to me because it's channels like this that gives you free publicity. Okay? Once again, if the fans are talking, that means the fans are watching. Take our money. Let us have our opinions. This is entertainment. I mean, we get to sit around and debate one another about who our favorite fighters are, who our least favorite fighters are, why we like certain fighters, why we don't like certain fighters. Let me tell you something. That's good for you. Even if we don't like you, you are still on our minds. You're still taking up space in our heads. People bought Floyd Money Mayweather's fights to see him lose. But guess what? Money is money. And he took advantage of that. What a brilliant fighter. What a brilliant businessman. So while these social media divas is crying because the fans have an opinion, are you out of your mind? And we're going to have an opinion whether you want us to have an opinion or not. So jumping on social media talking about, well, you never laced them up. Well, if you got in the ring, shut up. Shut up. I'm sick of it. And I'm sick of it for the simple fact that it's stupid. Let us talk. Let us have our opinions. Let us run our mouths. Some of us may not know anything, but guess what? Publicity is publicity. Promotion is promotion. Anytime someone says your name, we put your name out there. Okay. Now, I understand that fighters put their lives on the line for the sake of our entertainment, and you have my utmost respect. And this is really not going out to the high level, world class, notable fighters. It's going out to these wannabe social media fighters who thinks they're better than the rest of us because they stepped in the ring and we haven't. The fans are relevant. The fans plays a big part in your success. If you don't have any fans, you are not successful. And the thing that pisses me off is that's common sense. That's common freaking sense. So, why do you want to shut the very ones up that supports these fights, that's shelling out hard-earned money that could go on a bill to see you fight? And then you're going to tell us to not say anything because we've never stepped in the ring? Bull. Shut it up. Keep doing what you're doing. Focus on your career. Let the fans have their fun. After all, we're paying for it. So, if you want me to keep my opinions to myself, I'm going to also keep my money to myself. I'm going to also keep my time to myself. How about that? Think before you speak.